He is the publisher of Tennessee's premier source of the truth in news. You've heard about fake news? This is truth in news, the Tennessee Conservative News. It's delivered to your inbox at noon every weekday. The Tennessee Conservative News is the result of tireless dedication from its creator, publisher, and a committed team of talented contributors, many of which are with us this evening. Together, they work relentlessly to uncover corruption, expose lies, and occasionally applaud those shaping our state government. The journey to make Tennessee Conservative News a trusted and consistent source of facts has been very challenging, but our speaker will share that story himself. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the creator and the publisher of Tennessee Conservative News, Mr. Brandon Lewis.
So I'm going to do this because I told my staff I'd go speak places and I never take a picture. So could y'all just wave your hand at the screen? I'll get back here. This is good. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're not going to get everybody, but that's good enough. Okay. So today I'd like to do a few things. There's always somebody new in a crowd, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we got founded. I'm going to thank some folks. I'm actually going to bring some of our staff up here because I don't know that any of you, we've never really done something like this before. We're most all except for Paul of our staff are here. And I'd like for you to hear from them because you see me and I'm the face of it. And what a face. I mean, who wants to put that thing out there? But, I'm the face of the publication. But if it weren't for the folks in this room here, the thing would not happen. And it just would not happen. And so I want to do that. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's on my heart for your club specifically as a word of encouragement. And then we're going to walk through a few things here today. And I can either see you or see my notes. Those are the two choices. So first off, I would like to thank Rick and Lori because when I started in 2020, we were like, what? Is our government lost their mind? Is the Republican Party gone astray? What is going, am I crazy? It's a bunch of propaganda to put on you. From your state government, your local government, from the media and everything's like, okay, I still, despite all this social pressure, I feel like something is wrong. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that, but as that started happening, people bubbled up all across the state and kind of found one another as a support group of sorts. And Rick was there from the very beginning. He's like, this is BS. And I was like, oh gosh, this is BS. And he said, come talk to our club. We really want to help you. And a lot of times people say, I really want to help you. What they mean is, I really want to waste your time and not do anything. But Rick had put this team together, and y'all have been doing things, and it's amazing. More on that later. And I would like to ask for your indulgence just for a moment. And by your indulgence, how many ladies are in here? Okay, a bunch of ladies. How many of you are married to a somewhat emotionally insensitive man? Oh, just a few. Okay. The rest of you are like, I don't want to deal with that one anymore. Okay. Or maybe a man that tells a couple of crass jokes, or sometimes occasionally, honey, shut your mouth if you ever had to say that, or be quiet. Okay, so this is going to be one of those moments. So Rick, I'd like you to come up here. I'd like you to come up here. Now listen. I went down to Hobby Lobby and I bought this box, and today I painted it with my little tiny Trump hands. I painted it. This is like, you know how when sometimes your kids will give you crafts, you're like, oh, this is terrible.
Actually, I think those are Jed Bush hands.
Yeah. And so I would like for you to open this up and see what's inside it. And I'm going to explain why I've given it to you.
Wow, this is beautiful. This
Yes.
is maybe
Burlap?
burlap.
It's inside the bag, right? It's inside the bag. That's how this works.
There
yeah, okay.
So what do we?
Somebody sing while we're doing this. Wow,
There's
there we
another
go.
one. There's another one. Open it up. There's another one. So Rick Dram does not need these. But the reason that I have given him these circular objects that are also brass is to remind him of the human unity. No, it's because he has his own set. But from time to time, symbolically, you may want to look on your desk and go, gosh, this is going to be tough. We've got to do it one more time, and I'm so tired of doing this, but he's done it for 5 years. You're a leader, and I thought I would make those for you and hand them to you because I appreciate you having some. So I'm not going to thank folks forever and ever, but if my wife had not been so kind and generous in leasing me out to conservatives all over the state at our own expense in many cases at the beginning and still to a degree today, couldn't do it. And then, you know, my girls occasionally like sacrifice time and stuff with me because I'm in the office working 16 to 20 hours a week, like doing a political hobby that doesn't pay anything. And so they have, because we're all on the same page from an ethics and a value standpoint, they see it. So baby, thank you very much. How many of you are just, it could happen, how many of you are not subscribed to the publication? Raise your hand and be honest. If not, before you leave, there's like a little table over here. My daughter's here. She will sign you up. Please don't not be on the list. We want to get the news source to you, so do that before you leave. So, how many of you are unfamiliar with, because there's a lot of folks here that are relatively new or somebody has brought you, are unfamiliar with our publication and its origins? We got one, a handful, there's always a few in the room. So in 2020, I was sitting in my office, working illegally, non-essentially trying to feed my family, you know, things of that nature. And I get a call, I'm just angry, like I'm mad. I'm like, what is going on? They've shut my church down, they've shut my gym down, they've told me my business isn't, you can't meet with your family on Thanksgiving to thank the Lord for all the blessings that you, it's like a departure from all of human history. It's a completely departure from America. And I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. And so a lady calls me and she says, hey, there's a protest going on the Market Street Bridge, something that I would never want to be a part of. I don't like going to protests. Gosh, you can't get a conservative out to a protest for nothing. But somehow, they talked to me, it's like, oh, these ladies do not understand how to organize an event. This is going to fall on its face, and they're going to think that we aren't serious. And so I got involved on a Thursday, and I worked Thursday through Sunday nonstop. I quit my job, and about 300 and something of us showed up at the Market Street Bridge, and we had a very simple message. It was like, let's open up the businesses. I don't think the masks work. I don't think the vaccines are going to stop transmission. I've read the great influenza years ago, 400 pages on the Spanish flu. I think this is going to happen the same way. And we were pilloried by the Tennessee media, by our local media, because we gathered together. We were trying to kill grandma. Never mind that Black Lives Matter gathered together 2 weeks later to break windows and to throw things at police and to do everything else. That they got glowing media coverage from the Tennessee media, and they put a mural on Main Street, yet we just wanted our civil, religious, and our economic rights back, and we were terrible people. It's a cult. The media is a cult in Tennessee. They're all founded and funded by the same corporations that purchase Republican influence very often in leadership positions. That's why we can't get where we need to get. And so we launched the publication, and working with folks like Rick and Gary Humble at Tennessee Stands and a bunch of grassroots groups, we finally got our Republicans to peel back all the things through 2 medical freedom sessions. And it was amazing. They left the medical workers out in the lurch. They left the federal workers out in the lurch. But by and large, most Tennesseans got back to normal to a degree. And I'm like, okay, we've done this. Let's go home. But no, we'd started this publication, we'd started this movement, and then as you started looking, it's like we had issues on illegal immigration, where Bill Lee had approved a legal immigration center in Chattanooga, Tennessee, covertly that we broke the story for, where kids were being both molested and lost. And we got the thing shut down through our reporting. And we watched bills come through that were awful, and we'd just report on it, and it would be withdrawn. And then we had bills that were brought that would have never made it across the finish line, but because of our insistence in our reporting, and because y'all would get on the phone and call and email folks, now things were getting across the finish line, and we were giving people general trouble. And so here's some of the positive things that have happened because of you. Many of you are just one of our, y'all have been with me since the very beginning. And you are not a do-nothing club. There are a bunch of do-nothing clubs all across Tennessee. The Holy Huddle, right? Let's get together and talk to each other and go home and do nothing. Y'all go out there and do things. That's what makes your club so unique, because guess what? A club that doesn't have a mission that actually does something does not gather this number of people. With talent, it doesn't do it. It runs people off with talent, and it gravitates the worst type, which is what we primarily have in our establishment clubs and organizations across the state. Their ability to critically assess whether or not Republicans are representing you, the average primary voters, have been lost. And so clubs like yours all across the state are reclaiming it. We have helped get some people unelected. We have helped get some people elected. And so we've had a great positive impact. I often tell people, the financial benefits of running the Tennessee Conservative are nothing. We run on fumes. Ask Mr. Vaughn. We run on fumes. Like, it's just enough. It's like, when I grew up, it's like, can we make the light bill? Like, it's just what it's been like. But if you were trying to purchase that type of political influence, it would cost you $5, $6, $7 million a year. So our political return on investment is remarkable for conservatives in Tennessee. It's just the economic investment from my side and from the publication side is not there. But guess what? We make a big difference because we're the only ones talking to the few tens of thousands in the state that actually care about state and local government. And so, yes, I'll take that if you don't mind. It's okay. So tell them I said hello. How's your mama doing? That's really good. But the negatives have been like, has anyone watched leadership attack us on social media? Have you seen that? That's interesting. We're so irrelevant they have to talk about us. That's always good. We've been criticized like constantly. We're the far right wing website. You are the far right wing. But the funny thing is, when we survey GOP primary voters on a variety of topics, and I've spent my own personal money to do this, it's not the far right wing. It's just that the average conservative in Tennessee is far more conservative than the average Republican representative. It's not like there's no extreme hardly even in our party. It's just like, this is the mainstream. We don't want to fund illegal immigrant education. We don't want to do it. Oh, that's extreme. No, it's like 79, 78% of the GOP primary voting audience. That's not extreme. We don't want them to get benefits. We don't want them to be competing for jobs. It's very basic. We don't like corporate welfare. Let's not give millionaires and billionaires millions of dollars to compete against our own small businesses who have been here for 30, 40, 100 years. I couldn't imagine when In-N-Out Burger came in, we're going to give them millions of dollars so that they can compete against mom and pops, and oh, by the way, they're going to fund it. It's just not conservative. And so we see in Tennessee where 94+% of the GOP leadership's money comes from outside the district and from special interests. And I'm telling you, I have found in my life that where your money comes from is what controls you. Money talks in politics. And so it's why it's so important for conservatives like you to put your money together and get behind candidates that count and get behind organizations that count. I've been personally shunned and shamed. You go places, you used to be the golden boy. People give you the dirty looks, the evil eye. I still go. And he's like, my wife's like, well, you don't want them to think you won. You need to go to that event right there. You look in my eye. That's right, and I do. And I've watched even conservative politicians like the late Frank Nice be attacked by the Rhino establishment. Like, it's not just enough that we've only got a handful of real conservatives in the legislature. When you step out of line, the corporately funded folks like AFP and all those folks, like, they're just going to come down on you. And so it's very tough just to represent your constituents up in Nashville. very difficult. And finally, of course, occasionally you might get sued. And so everybody kept asking about the lawsuit. I'm going to keep this very short, and I'm going to get to other things that I think are more important. There's a crazy guy in wherever the county is that we got sued in. Where Chris Spencer in Sumner County. I'm glad you know what's going on there. Sumner County, and he sued like 7 of us for like conspiracy and something else. The guy's just crazy. My lawyers told me not to say too much about it, right? And what has happened is he said, hey, listen, we've been defending these cases for like a decade. Yours is in the top 2 or 3% of easily win. And this is just a bunch of crap case. But luckily, the thing that saved our publication to a degree is that he sued like 7 people. And so we were able to split, to a degree, the legal fees with one company. If that had not happened, I would have had to like dig into personal savings to actually just defend the lawsuit. And so he said, I think it's going to be winnable. But we had an administrative hearing that was supposed to happen. They said the court's overwhelmed right now. We can't meet at government, right? You know, we have an appointment. We can't make it. Good luck to you. And so finally they said we may have an administrative hearing or we may have a whatever. So he still thinks it's like a good chance. So I'm not overly worried about it. And I've learned that you make your list, you do your best, and let the Lord sit out the rest. I just don't worry about it. I'm like, you know what? I've done everything I can do. I'm just going to leave it alone. So I'm not worried about it. You shouldn't be worried about it, but I appreciate your support because what it did teach me is like, you know, how frail and fragile our organization is. You know, if it weren't for folks like you coming behind us when stuff like this happened, like we would just fold. But, you know, it's kind of like a church sometimes. You'll be involved in a small church and it's like, how are we going to make the money? And then the Lord provides. You know, He provides. And He has done that. So I talked a little bit about, and I want to talk, this is my encouragement for you tonight, and I'm going to bring the staff up here and we're going to do something very quick. How many of you think that maybe one day you could potentially, in some parallel universe, run for office? There's Kent's raising his hand, a few. Okay, so I'm in, I was educated in Alabama public schools, so I like to count on my fingers. Okay? So I want you to count on your fingers with me. So put your fingers in your lap. This is one of those, like, you wouldn't even have to, you know, every eye's closed, every head down. Now, you don't really have to know. You can just do it in your seat, right? Nobody has to know. So number one is, who in here has a lot of more time on their hands because you're in retirement? Okay? So put a finger, you don't have to hold up the finger, just hold it in your lap. Okay? Who has managed their finances well enough that if you went off and did something for many hours a week, it wouldn't matter? Because you've already saved your money, right? You're in retirement. That's kind of like the definition of retirement. Number 3, how many of you could walk, physically walk, for 3 to 4 hours a day if you took like maybe 30 minutes in between the sessions, and you could do that for maybe 3 or 4 months? You could physically walk, okay? There's another finger. We're up to 3 here for some of you. How many of you would consider yourself to be relatively normal? Relatively, it's state politics. I'm sorry, I don't mean to drink in front of you. This is completely unprofessional, but I feel like I'm among friends. I've never done this before, but I really feel comfortable here. That's Krista. Relatively normal, meaning you can talk to people and they're not, oh God, did you see this guy coming? Relatively normal, okay? Now ask your wife if you're relatively normal. If you don't know, or ask your husband, or maybe a friend, or somebody next to you, and see if you meet that criteria. Could you ask someone, preferably several people, if you're running for office, preferably every person that breathes that you encounter, for money? Could you ask them? Just get the words out of your mouth. You give me some money. If you can get that all the way out of your mouth, you got a really good chance. Okay? So, how many of people have 5 fingers now? Raise your hand. Show your 5 fingers. Even if you're not going to run. Even if you're not going to run, you at least got 5 fingers, right? Okay, only not many. This is a weak crowd. Okay. The rest of you go home and you have some work to do. It's okay. So maybe go see a doctor, talk about your heart health. So I'm telling you, you can do it.
State and local campaigns are won by the least crappy candidate. It's like, it's like I think I could go to a midget wrestling contest and do pretty decent. I'm right in the category. Maybe I slightly had it out, but I could do it, right? This is state and local politics. It seems so intimidating. It seems so overwhelming, but I'm telling you, if you'll follow a game plan, if you can put time and money and energy and effort. And so when I look at this club, and I look at the lamentations that many of you give me for your state delegation with Randy McNally.
They say that over.
Gosh, there are 6 million people in Tennessee. It's the guy? No. One of you should be running and the club should be behind them. You've got enough volunteer hours. And look at this place. Not in McMansionville. Y'all got all money. Y'all could burn money all day long. You could burn a wet mule with the money y'all got left. That's true. And y'all could fund any candidate to go run against McNally or whomever else. You don't like your GOP, you don't like your state government, you don't like something. Do what we did in Hamilton County and get damn rid of them. Just put somebody up there with a pulse that will work. Anybody, like the law of averages is, you gotta win one of them. Put people in office. You can do it. And, Teddy Roosevelt used to talk about the man in the arena. Everybody wants to criticize. Somebody should do something. Maybe that's you. When I was in 2020, I'll tell this story quickly. Kristen and I were at church. Our church had quit meeting because COVID, right? Because it's in the scriptures, right? If there's a cold, don't meet. It's in Leviticus. Just read it somewhere. And I was just, downcast and depressed about all the things. So my favorite thing to do is go to work, church, and the gym, and all of them were legal. Right? I could have gone to the strip club, and I could have gone to the liquor store, and the rest of the places, but I couldn't go to those other places, right? And so I was at church, and he talked about Nehemiah and how people had walked down past the broken walls of Jerusalem forever, and it took a man from outside to come in and straighten up the mess. And so as you look at things, I just want to say, is somebody put something on your heart to run for office? Run out of Tellico Village. It is a remarkable platform. Run for office. State, local, every little dinky seat. Start at the bottom, because here's the thing. You win dog catcher, and the next thing is you're a cow catcher, or whatever the next step is under dog catcher. I don't know. I think the animals get bigger. But you can move up, right? Like sometimes it takes a little race to go to a big race, and y'all could be an incubator for the whole county. And it doesn't even have to be, we're districted for this. Y'all got so much volunteer capacity and so much financial capacity in this room, it can be far-flung in this county. So, if any of you are interested in running for office, August 20th, I'm doing a Conservative Candidates Academy. You go to the events section on Tennessee Conservative News. For those of you who don't know, I worked on U.S. Senate, U.S. House, state and local races. I wrote a book called How to Raise Money for Political Office. I've been on 14, I've won 14, and I understand this stuff intimately. I got out of it for 6 years. I'm going to start coaching candidates again in a different, more affordable way so that I can actually help people, but not deal with folks that are time wasters. I got enough ways to waste my time. I do it all the time. And so if you're running for office, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, go to the events tab. Now, I would like to ask quickly, and we're going to do this in a lightning round question, so I would like to ask all my reporters to be brief. Come up here. I'd like David, Olivia, Adelia, Jason, if you come up here for a moment, we're going to pass the mic because nobody has ever had our reporters in a room before but y'all. So I'm going to ask them some questions because they are the ones that really make it happen. Grab a seat, then. All right, we're going to pass the mic. So first off, I just want to say, no, don't take that. Jeez, Betsy, first the phone, and now you're taking my drink. She's trouble. Okay. if it weren't for these folks putting content out, there would be no Tennessee Conservative. If it weren't for Jason Vaughn in particular, I think the Lord brought him into my life because, I mean, one bad hire at the beginning of the Tennessee Conservative, like, I don't think we'd be here. If I'd had to make it through a bad hire, because it's very difficult to find somebody with the skills that Jason had. And so what I'm going to do is ask y'all to talk a little bit about what got you into conservative journalism. Briefly. Some of you have to say briefly 3 times, and some of you only once will do. And so briefly, concise. And so, what got you into conservative politics and in journalism, and how did you start writing for the Tennessee Conservative?
I can probably answer that question with an acronym, and that would be ABF. You guys know what that stands for? All Brandon's fault. So I was minding my own business, and this guy gives me a call, and he had this crazy idea to start up a conservative news website, and wow, man, we kind of stumbled when we started. We really did. But I was not into this at all. I had gone to college for journalism years ago, went into a completely different career path, did that for 17 years. So Brandon pulled me right into this, and here we are 5 years later. And can't believe it. It's been a wild ride, guys. And we appreciate all of you very much.
So I got into conservative politics because, COVID existed, and I graduated high school in 2020, and I started realizing that a lot of the grown adults around me who were conservative or Republican or however you want to identify them weren't really standing up for me, so I had to stand up for myself, and I had to learn what was happening around me. And one of our other reporters, Paula, who is not here tonight unfortunately, she homeschools, and my mom homeschooled me and my 6 siblings. So one day about, almost 3 years ago, something along those lines, my mom came across a post in a homeschool Facebook group that said, hey, the Tennessee Conservative, this little online publication over here, is looking for another writer. And so I sent Jason an article, and he published it the next publishing day, and I've been writing ever since.
Cut me some slack here, Brandon. I'm the old man on the panel up here. When I was in high school, my teacher said, boy, you ain't never going to be no journalist. That was my journalism teacher. Now look at me now. So I got into journalism because I got into politics the hard way. And of course, I worked in some politics in some campaigns when I was a teenager in the 1970s, by the way, that dates me. The Chamber of Commerce in Jefferson County tried to convince the county government to take my farm away from me. And I got into politics locally because of that, and got into activism because of that. And in 2017, we changed the law so that, I convinced the legislature to change the law so your farm cannot be taken by eminent domain for a industrial park. So 4 bills later, we had some more success with that. And I want to tell you a little bit about Paula Gomes, by the way. She's the one that got me into this inadvertently. And Brandon has never heard the story, okay? So I'm doing this story for a different newspaper about social emotional learning coming into Jefferson County schools. If you want to know what Marxism is coming into Jefferson County or any other county, look up social emotional learning. By the way, it will blow your mind, okay? So they spent about $200,000 to train their staff on this. And I was doing a story on it for a different newspaper. And Paula was running at the same time a story about SEL and these woke surveys. Lo and behold, I looked at it, and it was Jefferson County. She hadn't said it was Jefferson County, but it was Jefferson County. They were asking in these surveys under SEL. Okay, drum roll, please. Questions about, they were asking 10-year-old students if they had any relatives that were in prison, or if their parents were divorced, or if they tithe at church, or if they attend church, or if they get medical care. It was unbelievable what they were asking these kids. So this kind of led us into a little investigation up at Empowered Jefferson, and I contacted Paula with some information about some stories, and she said, why don't you just send it in? So I sent it in, and I became a contributor to the Tennessee Conservative News. So at the end of this, I did an investigation on how they had gotten this SEL contractor to come in out of Texas, out of College Station, Texas, okay? So they had paid almost $200,000 for this contractor to come in and train their staff. They bought the services and put it out for bid 14 months later. I sent 114 pages of evidence to the Comptroller of the Treasury on that. I don't know what they ever did about it, but we published that. So that's kind of how I got into it. Something I put on my list here, Brandon, please bear with me. Thank you all for being so nice to me when I came to speak with you all a few weeks ago about property rights. I'm coming back to speak on education, and I promise you I will not be on my best behavior. It will be a humdinger, I'm telling you that. We've got two of the best legislators. We've had two of the best legislators here tonight, Monty Fritz and Laura Russell. I think Monty's still here. A legislator can do 100 good things, and nobody will ever say anything in the news media to them. Of course, we do, but the mainstream news media will not. When they do something good, please compliment them. If they do one bad thing, our competitors in the news business will be all over them. They will tear them up. Please be kind to your legislators and compliment them when they do a great thing.
David, you have to move faster.
Here we go. I'm done. Thank you.
I'm Olivia. Hi. I think the most important thing you should know about me is I don't need a blanket, but I am very interested in the firefighter that goes with it. So, no. So, for me, I ultimately ended up in conservative journalism because God has a sense of humor. And that's really all I can say. In 2020, at the time of COVID, I was still living in Colorado where I was raised, and I was living in Manhattan just prior to that, and came back when COVID all started. I couldn't get food, there were riots in my neighborhood, etc., all that stuff. And God planted a seed and said, you're going to run for office. And I said, that's hilarious. No, thank you. Well, 9 months later, I ended up being on the campaign trail between multiple campaigns for myself and family members for almost 2 years. I also ended up serving on what is the equivalent of the state executive committee here in Tennessee. I served on the equivalent of that in Colorado. I was the chair for the Young Republicans Committee in Colorado at the state level, those kinds of things. So God really just said, here's the deep end, and kind of shoved me in. I was raised in a conservative Christian household, but really never was involved, I have to say, until God decided it was time. So when he decides, you just go, you follow. And to make a long story short, my family then moved to Tennessee after our house was burned down and our tires were slashed, and I had to get a restraining order against a previous campaign manager. And we said, okay, God, are we fighting to save Colorado, also known as Eastern California these days, or are we being released? And we prayed, and God said, no, I'm going to take you out. So we blew up a big map of the U.S. and we chopped off the east and west coast and said, where do we go? So he brought us to Tennessee almost 3 years ago now. And I almost immediately got elected as the vice chair of the Montgomery County Republican Party. I didn't know until the day of the election that I was going to run. I walked in the door and God again said, you need to run. And I said, look, that's great. I'll get all the credit for being obedient, but I'm not going to win. So that's great. That's awesome. I won 2-1. So, it's all God. Because then about a year later, about 18 months later, I was then kicked out for being too conservative and too Christian. To the point where the committee, the CEC there was trying to file a lawsuit against me. They were trying to take me to the state to be reprimanded by the SEC because I hosted prayer meetings without their permission at GOP headquarters. So, fine, that's great. I wear that as a badge of honor. So Tennessee Conservative, I had been following at that point because they were the only conservative news source in Tennessee. And I actually reached out. I had called Brandon, I think, actually, and said, hey, I don't know if you guys would be interested in this, but this is what's going on. He said, absolutely. So I sent it to Jason, published the story. You can read it. It's on the website. And then, great, I just left it out there. I said, look, if there's any kind of way that I can use my gifts and services for this publication, this is important. I know what you're doing. I know how hard it is. Please let me know. Didn't hear anything until about a year ago, actually. I think this week will be my 1-year work-anniversary. And Jason said, would you like a job? And I said, great. So wrote an article, and the next day we've been off to the races, and I haven't looked back. So it's been wonderful.
So when these guys say I'll work for the Tennessee Conservative, what they mean is I write articles and I get a few $100s a week. These folks are not feeding their family off this. Jason's our only full-time staffer and board. When there's any money left over, I try to give it to him because he deserves it. He works as a key straw morning, noon, and night, and so just throw that in there. So, and Jason, by the way, is single. He's single. Are there any wealthy heiresses? Raise your hand. I'm thinking this will be in the yard for you.
He's emotionally intelligent.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. The girls are saying he's emotionally intelligent. You got one up on me. That's good. So let's. So when I got into this, I found a bunch of stuff that I didn't think I'd find. And that's despite having worked on the campaign side. Like, I get them elected, and I was like, all right, I got a Republican elected. Surely you're going to govern conservatively. And I just turned a blind eye and I go elect the next R because I'm good at electing people. But I didn't ever keep up with the policy. Like once I elected them, I was saying some of them were like profound disappointments. Ken Yeager, Captain Pee-Pee Pants. He was my dude. You can thank me for putting him into office. I'm sorry to do that to you. But you don't know. You don't know until people get in office like what they're going to do. Like you have no idea. Well, you have an inkling. But you find things that are surprising. And so, briefly, David, describe what are some of the surprising things in a few sentences. We got three more questions, so we don't want to keep them all night. So, what are some of the most surprising? Because Jason worked for an airplane parts and service magazine. That's all he knew about conservative politics. Nothing. What is the government? We have a government in Tennessee? Well, I don't know what's going on. And so that's it. And so he has had to acquire and assimilate all this information. So you got the outsider's view. Everybody else is kind of conservative. So what is it that you discovered working at the publication that you never thought you would?
Well, for starters, I have to say I was shocked to find out how corrupt our state really is. I'll just say it was really shocking. Now, we started out our first year-ish, we focused on the Chattanooga area, and that didn't really work for us, so we broadcasted out to the larger state, started following the legislature, and it was amazing to see how things actually operate up there. Monty Fritz is in the audience somewhere here. He can tell you all about it. It's amazing to me. And it's also still amazing to me that people, I hope you guys aren't like this, completely ignore state politics. The federal is so interesting, right? All the drama going on all the time. Let me tell you, there's drama at the state level you would not believe. If you've not been following what we cover, if you've not been following our state legislature, oh my gosh, it is there, guys. So, that's really what shocked me more than anything, and how I'd spent, my entire life completely blind to it all. And but we've made a difference. So Brandon coming into my life and waking me up, and what we do, and of course I kind of coordinate a lot of it. We've really made a difference, and I'm quite proud of that.
Well, I don't know what surprised me the most, really, because I'm not very easily surprised. So I got involved in a state legislature that wasn't Tennessee's. I interned in South Dakota state legislature before I was even paying attention to Tennessee's. And that was a whole lot different than being in Nashville, for the record. It's a lot more rural, it's a lot more low-key. There's not as many reporters in the capital, even remotely. They've got a smaller population, and their capital is smack up in the middle of nowhere. And so I guess what's surprised me the most is really how intense politics here in Tennessee can get, how dirty politics here in Tennessee can get. Because I thought I had a pretty decent idea of what an operating state legislature would be like, and then I started writing for the Tennessee Conservative and actually paying closer attention to it than I already was. And then I went to Nashville this year and was at the Capitol building during our legislative session to report and give you guys interviews, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. But yeah, I think just human nature continues to baffle me, but it is encouraging when we do have representatives like Monty Fritz, like Jody Barrett, spread out across our state. We've got some good ones, Janice Bowling. We do have great people in the grassroots efforts, like the people on our team, like Gary Humble of Tennessee Stands, like a bunch of people whose names I can't remember because I'm really bad with names. But the bottom line is that not much surprises me. We've got dirty politics. There you go.
Brandon, you and I have the same background. We have the same
Yes,
background. Running political.
I was not shocked with dirty state politics because I served on my local county commission for a while, and I got a good taste of it, with what happens in the state back then. So I guess one of the things that really surprised me was how kind, seriously, how kind and helpful that some of our good legislators really were to me when I first started doing volunteer lobby work in Nashville. It was culture shock to walk in the building, but when I started working for the Tennessee Conservative News, they would meet me in the hallway and they would tell me how much they appreciated what we were doing. These are the good legislators, though some of the ones that we criticize occasionally probably didn't appreciate it. But I'm telling you, some of these legislators that I work with are wonderful. And I just got to compliment them. That's one of the big shocks to me. I went down there and I was well treated, and I continue to be well treated, and I really appreciate that.
That's nice that David had something positive to say. That was really nice. I have to say, I think what surprised me the most, I wasn't really surprised about the dirtiness of the politics, things like that. If you know anything about Colorado, Eastern California, we have Dominion voting. Your vote doesn't matter there. So when Democrats spit in your face, you're used to that. I knew what to expect. There are rhinos everywhere as well. I have to say I didn't quite expect the amount of rhinos we have for a state with a Republican supermajority. But I think what really surprised me the most overall is how resistant a lot of the political players here are, even down to the local GOPs, of anyone coming from out of state. I've been really, I have a good friend who runs the Tennessee Republican Association Club on the other side of the state, and he affectionately refers to me as the Blue State Cavalry. Cavalry. Jesus is there, but not in this case. And that's true. Myself and people like me, we didn't come to strip away culture. We didn't come to make things worse, which, by the way, there are a lot of things in Tennessee that people from other states, we do better. We have ideas. We have, there are things that can be improved, you guys, a little bit, but just the resistance overall. I wasn't expected to be treated like a pariah. And really kind of told to my face, like, well, if you haven't lived here at least 10 years, you don't have a right to speak. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have anything to contribute. And I said, well, I watched it happen in my state, and it's happening here too. You guys, we're a red state for now, and I think a lot of Republicans and conservatives even, we've gotten complacent because we forget. I wasn't here, but 30 years ago, Tennessee was blue rather. And 30 years ago, Colorado was red. So, yeah, it was really, but I found an amazing team. I will say that, to be amongst like-minded people who do value that contribution and do say, no, these people clearly are unserious about anything, because you do matter. Your voice matters. So anyone who's new or out of state, you matter. So don't stop speaking up. Don't stop pressing in. Voice your ideas. Stand for the change. We are those watchmen. You know, like kind of was talked about earlier. We have the in-state watchmen, but there are those of us. I know what I lost. I'm willing to fight 100 times harder to keep it from happening here.
And we did write an article that people that move here, on average, are actually voting Republican just slightly more than the Republicans.
Really?
And not only that, but they're fleeing, so they're not frogs in a pot. Y'all know what TDS is? Do you know what TCS is? I'm coining it tonight. You're the first to hear it. It's called Trump Complacency Syndrome. And it's what happens to Republicans when Trump's in office. And I've watched it. Like, I've seen it, Tennessee Stands has seen it, everybody's seen it. We think that what is happening in Washington is what is happening in Tennessee at our local government level, and it's not. It's like looking at the weather on Mars and thinking it's going to be here at Tellico Plains. Now, those are two worlds apart. And so the complacency has been a big issue with conservative grassroots organizations since Trump's been elected. It's funny, right? If you don't have an adversary, you don't feel like you need to be engaged. And instead, I would tell you that now is the time to strike while the iron is hot. It is not the time to fritter away the opportunity. It is not the time to fritter away the opportunity. All right. Well, we got two quick questions. We're going to be brief, lightning round here. So what do you see, since you've been around, that makes you encouraged that conservatives can win, that we can make positive headway in Tennessee on a positive note?
Well, you actually mentioned it earlier. We have, through the efforts of you guys and guys like you, we've stopped bad legislation. We've got good legislation through. We've pushed to get special sessions initiated that gives back some of our rights that were taken away. And this is all through basically the grassroots efforts, right? It's not the establishment Republicans. It's not the Democrats. It was you guys and guys like you. So I think, but I have to mention one thing about the complacency syndrome. I've seen that a lot. Like our engagement on our articles has gone this summer. And well, basically since Trump has been in office, we've had less engagement even during the legislative session. So people really do have that problem. I just had to mention that. But hey, we can make a difference. That's the big takeaway here. We can make a difference, but we can't be complacent. We can't sit on our laurels when we win. We just have to keep pushing, because now's the time.
So I'm not a very positive person. my mom used to tell me a lot when I was younger that I was being very pessimistic, and I tell her I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic. But sometimes I know I can be a little bit pessimistic. So that being said, I have a hard time sitting here and saying, well, like, this encourages me, because I hate encouragement. But something that does actually encourage me is when people come up, or they email me, or they text me, or they call me, and they say, hey, you guys are doing a really great job, or hey, I have a question about this article that you wrote, and it goes a little deeper than what you wrote. Can you inform me on this? I like to know that people are actually reading our stuff, that we're actually informing people, because sometimes people will just sit there and they'll read the headline, and then they'll go to dinner and they'll just talk about the headline and be like, hey, did you hear such and such did such and such, isn't that awful? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, but what about the rest of the details? And how does that actually impact things? So it encourages me when people actually read our articles and inform themselves and formulate their own opinions, and don't just regurgitate what they're hearing political commentators and news anchors say. So when one of you comes up to me at any type of event like this and has something new that I haven't even thought of before, I love it. That's what's encouraging to me about the conservative movement. So.
What encourages me is what I see right here in this room, Conservative Club of Tellico. Knox for Liberty, East Tennessee Freedom, Empower Jefferson, which I belong to. Those things are movements that are going on all across this state. Those are encouraging to me, and I really appreciate you all.
Those are really good answers. Yeah, ditto. No. I think what encourages me is that conservatives can win is that when we see the small victories that our conservatives make, a lot of times I get disheartened when it's like, man, we should have done these big things, or we should be doing more, we should be doing better. Yeah, we should. But when you see legislators like Monty Fritz take a stand and call out leadership to their face, when you see leaders like Jody Barrett surrender every single one of his bills because he's more concerned about pushing good legislation than having his name attached to something, that gives me a lot of hope and encouragement. Michelle Ronal's victory, which Brandon helped with that campaign, that's an endorsement for the candidate class, by the way. Because he worked on that campaign and she won, so there you go. But also, just again, it comes in the most unexpected places. And my encouragement, first and foremost, comes from the Lord. So it's twice as important to remember that He's on the throne, I'm not. I am not God, you are not God. And we can say there's a lot of should-haves, but to rejoice in the small victories that stand for conservative principles, because we could take an inch, but eventually inches turn into feet, which turn into miles, which turn into leagues, which turn into the world. So it's the conservative legislators who stand on what we send them there to do that really give me hope that there's hope.
So this is the team. Nobody's ever seen this before. We're like a conservative confederacy that is strewn across the state. We don't see each other that often. We don't, and I'm the worst manager of all God's creation. I'm not a micromanager. It's like, have you ever heard from Brandon? No, not very much. I left because I know that they do good work. Know that their heart's in the right place. They're consummate professionals. The work product you get out of these people, given the few hundreds of dollars a week that they get paid to write, it's nothing. That's all we got, man. And so I'm just honored, and I don't know how God put us all together in this little boat, but I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm gonna close this out. We're pretty some of you. Oh gosh, I've got a pinochle tournament. What's happening here? Where's the shuffleboard? I'm sorry. I will play shuffleboard. If you feed me drinks, I will play shuffleboard. I may never lose. So here's my closing remarks here, if I can find them. So I don't know where they are, but I know what I need to say. So there are a handful of things that you can do here. I'm going to give you a call to action on the way out. Number one is, if you feel that my daughter, which is somewhere around here, in the back, Sylvia, who knows, she may be back. We've got a little form over here where you can be a monthly contributor. Lord, we need, I don't care, $10. Our budget, imagine every year, every month if you had to go, how much money are we going to bring in this week? I don't know. Could be $10, could be $10,000. We don't know. Run the household budget on it. Very difficult. Conservatives just write individual checks most of the time, and they don't sign up. There's a few of you here that are monthly donors. It just would be easier if we do we got $45 whole $100 coming in a month. That would be helpful for us, right? And so we got it over here. You can sign up for that. Number one, that would be helpful for our organization. Number two, when Rick or Lori or anybody in your club needs you to not talk, but to give, not to attend and socialize, but to go do something physically with your time or money, do it. Get involved with your club, not in some kind of I'm going to breathe in a room and socialize, but I'm going to contribute something that will take a load off their back, because it is freaking tough carrying any organization. And there's 2 people rowing and there's 20 people in the boat most of the time in conservatism. And if you're being pulled, go home, have a terrible night's sleep, talk to your spouse about it, talk to your preacher about it. I'm just a lazy SOB and I don't ever do anything in my club. I don't give anything. Do it. Help Rick and Lori out. Don't be cheap, either in your time or your money. You'll be dead soon anyway. This is a retirement village. Come on. Let's just do it. Hey, I'm right behind you. I know. Hey, listen. I'm right behind you. I got 10 years goes by fast, 20 years goes by fast. I'll be right there with you. So we'll all gather together, and at the shady oak tree, I could point you to green grass of home here. That's the only audience that probably appreciate that song. So that's number 2. Number 3, run for office. I talk to Rick occasionally, and I'm like, y'all got all these seats. Who's running from the nobody? Who you get behind? Like y'all could seriously, like, it doesn't take much. Now, seriously, a little leaven in the bread goes a long way in politics. Y'all got volunteer hours in the thousands in this room. The thousands. And it wouldn't take you to do much. You've got tons of financial support. Like, you're sitting on a gold mine of political ROI, and I don't think you realize it. Get in there, get involved, take over your county, make it your own. And finally, pray for the folks that are helping you in this club. Seek some guidance, and then go out and act on it. In closing, it has been like a privilege and an honor to have these folks that work with me on this team, to have people that I don't know, to drive in. Like, I always feel guilty. Like, I don't remember everybody's name. I don't know who everybody is. My wife's like, you can't. The brain is too small. Someone take the garbage out on Friday. That's the thing that you need to remember. And so, I'm sorry if occasionally I'm a little dull-witted, but I do the best I can, and we do the best I can, but we couldn't do as much as we do or be as good as we can be if it weren't for you. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good night.